This podcast represents the opinions of the hosts of the Laugh Cry Club and guests on the show. The content here should not be taken as medical advice and is for informational purposes only. And because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. Views and opinions expressed in the podcast are our own and do not represent that of our places of work. While we make every effort to ensure that the information we share is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or correction of errors. Welcome to the club. This is the Laugh Cry Club. My name is Joy Parrish. I have two other amazing licensed professional therapists with me. This is a group of therapists that decided to start a podcast for a variety of reasons that we're going to get into. I'm so glad you're here. I am so glad that you decided to push play, have us be in your ears for the next however many minutes we decide to record. This is brand new, but I have been in the podcast space for almost 12 years now. I have another podcast called This is Joy and Claire. You may have heard of it. My co-host, Claire Cook, and I have been recording for, I like to kind of brag and say before Serial was on the radio, because that's kind of like when podcasts blew up. So anyway, I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm in Denver, Colorado. I have been a therapist for over 20 years. The two lovely people with me here also have been in practice for 20 years. So that kind of gives us a combined age of like 60 for our experience. So you really want to hear everything that we have to say. We are here for you. We are here to help. We feel like this show started, and you guys can chime in and put your 2 cents with this. But we were talking one day and we're like, there's something about the hard right turn. And I get this from Amy Poehler's book, Yes, Please. Crying so hard and then all of a sudden laughing, and how life is such a spectrum of emotions. But one moment you're laughing, one moment you're crying. The world seems to be just so polar with emotions right now that we thought, why don't we take our expertise to the radios, to the podcasts, and have a discussion so everyone can kind of join in. So that's why we're doing this. A little bit about my background with mental health. I've worked with families, children, adolescents. I've worked in a medical facility. I now work for Headspace. It's an online platform for therapy. I love doing telehealth. Let's get going. Let's get this conversation going. I think that the purpose of this is to be helpful, because in a world that's really hard, at the end of the day, I think sometimes it helps to do something good, to feel like you're doing something. So I'm going to pass it next to my next co-host, Rebecca. Hi.
Hey, I'm so happy I could be here with you all today and join you. Thank you for this. I always love a place that I could be spotlit. So
you do, and you're in improv, so we definitely want to talk about that. You love a spotlight.
I do. I can tell you those lights are really hot, by the way. But yeah, I'm super excited to be here as well. Briefly, I've been a licensed clinician for 20 years. I've worked rural community mental health to telehealth platform now, but worked with kids, adults, families, group therapy, school-based. I've just basically done it all, and that was really important to me coming out of grad school, that I said, I want to work with every population because I want to be a well-rounded therapist. So that was super important to me. And this actually, being a therapist, is a second career for me. I started in the career of criminal justice, working community corrections. So I have a lot of history there, and really some things that I witnessed in community corrections kind of changed course for me, or I guess it changed the dial in a way. And
Was that with adults or kids?
Yeah, kids. Sorry,
okay.
Juveniles.
Because I worked with juveniles.
Primarily juveniles.
I don't know. I feel like maybe I knew that about you because I worked with juveniles in the justice system.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that once upon a time. But I just, as the system's set up, and these individuals, these kids that I was working with, we were like, oh, we want to help you be a successful individual in society. But the problem is we never had any money or tools to really help individuals. It's the same for the adult system. And I just kept feeling like I was running into a brick wall. And I just decided I want to help people, and this is not helping them. So I just made a switch, and I'm glad I did, because I would have never met you two lovely people.
I know. It's so fun to be friends with such cool coworkers and to share in the hardships, the hard times of being a therapist. And we'll talk a lot about that too, behind the scenes of what it's like to be a therapist. I think one of the funny assumptions people make is when you're a therapist, you kind of have all your stuff together, like you have all your crap together. And you also are always overanalyzing people, which sometimes is true. Not, I usually only try to diagnose people that I see on TV, which is, a whole nother story.
I actually have a story that I can share with you all later about overanalyzing people, because it happened to me last night standing in line to watch a WNBA game.
Okay.
So I'll save.
Okay, save it. Let's go to Chelsea.
Yeah,
You're like,
let's go to Chelsea.
Yeah, I think we're good. Let's introduce the beautiful, wonderful Chelsea.
Oh my gosh, y'all. I am so thrilled to be doing this. I know I've talked so many times about doing a podcast and sharing really humanistic, honest, raw conversations. I've been in the field my whole adult life. So I started off too with severely emotionally disturbed probation kids in a lockdown facility, and absolutely loved it, and just was fascinated by human beings and found it just like the authentic way that they interact and get mad, and not having the expectations to kind of shove it down deep and put it in a box, that overreacting. I just fell in love with these kids that I worked with. And it wasn't until I had back in the day, they restrained kids. There was like a padded room. I mean, this was a long 20 plus years ago. I had a boy who bit onto my thigh, clung onto my thigh. I had to go through the hepatitis shots, and the police came in. It was a whole thing. And that's when I knew I need to get out of like the direct dangers of what I was doing. And I was like, maybe I need to go back to school. I'd already had my bachelor's, and I'm like, maybe I'm not built for this, because at the same time, my compassionate bleeding.
I know you're That's the thing, is like you have this compassionate bleeding heart, but like we shouldn't be getting physically harmed in our jobs.
Yeah. And I just felt so bad because the police came, and he was like this big kid, and I'm tall, but I'm not a really big person. And they just kept, and I think I had a bow in my hair because I always was cute, and I was like 20, I was a kid. And, they were just like, how could you do this to her? And I just kept thinking, because of all the bad things that have happened to him, I need to understand more. And so I went back to school and decided to go into therapy, and just absolutely love the field that we're in. So I've gone from that to inpatient psych, private practice, supervision, facilitating workshops, presentation, coaching. I've done lots of different things, all things helping. And I love humans, and I'm fascinated by them, and I am one.
And we're all just trying to do the best we can.
That's true.
Like at the end of the day, we're all just trying to do the best we can. There's a lot of division in the world right now. I think that's no surprise to anybody. But, this has been going on for some time. I just feel like the heat is on for a lot of tension, especially in the United States, which is where we live. And I just really like the idea of, and we've talked about this, of why we wanted to create this too, of like kind of unifying. Like we look so much for like division in this world, where we kind of need to look more like what unifies us. And what unifies us is we all have emotions, and we all have really difficult emotions, and we all laugh and we all cry. So on that note, let's talk about, we're going to do this segment every week, and it's the last time you laughed and the last time that you cried. Who wants to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I mean, we're all laughing right now because this is what laughter is, right? Like we're all nervous, and all of a sudden like this vulnerability comes up, and it's like, not it. So I'm tagging you, Joy, actually.
Okay, I can go. I can totally go. So the last time I laughed was actually, I laugh all the time. I have a pretty easy sense of humor, and I love to laugh, and I find a lot of things very funny. But one of the things that my husband makes me laugh every single day, his humor, he's not trying to be funny, but the things that he says are so funny. So I'm going to tell you a very stupid story that no one will get, because it's probably one of those inside jokes. But we rescued this cat last fall, and we've been trying a couple different diets because trying to still figure out, cats are so finicky. We're trying to figure out what he likes to eat. So we found this one with the help of one of my friends who's works at a shelter and knows animals. We found this food that's called Lil Soups, Lil John. It's called Lil Soups. And so I was he texted me the other day. And he said, do you need anything from Target? He was at Target. And I said, just Lil Soups. That's what I put in the text. That's all I responded. And then I followed it up with a cute picture of Butters, our cat. And I was like, he's he's really struggling. It's hot out. You know, I just kind of like, it wasn't related to Lil Soups, but I thought he's going to read Lil Soups. And then he saw this cute picture of the cat, whatever. That's just how I roll. And so he comes home and I was like, oh, did you get Lil Soups for Butters? And he goes, no, you wanted me to get Lil Soups? And I'm like, yeah, I texted you. He goes, oh, I thought that's what we were calling the cat now.
That is so funny.
I'm crying.
And I just died laughing. And I was like, oh, you think you're like, we're calling the cat Lil Soups? Because he's like, well, you sent a picture of him right after you said Lil.
Oh, that's such a
So
cute
that made me
nickname.
laugh.
Little Soup.
It's adorable.
I love it.
It was.
That is super cute. And honestly, I think I'm going to side with your husband here because I would have thought you were nicknaming our cat that as well.
Okay. It's fair. It just made me laugh so hard. So that was like a good moment of just like belly laugh. But it happens a lot because some of the things he says, I'm just like, that's hilarious. And then when I cried, I often cry, but I haven't been I feel like I go through seasons of crying. I'd be curious to know like what your crying personality is like. Because I feel like there's people who cry like that. And then there's people who kind of like lock it up. Like I always joke, my husband's not like a super emotional crier. Like he doesn't get teary easily, you know, whatever. For a while, my joke with him was like, you didn't even cry on our wedding day. For a while, I thought that like he was like, he had no soul because of that. I'm like, no, it soon comes to find out that he just like isn't a crier.
Wait, hold on. Did you cry on your wedding day?
Oh, yeah.
Rebecca, did you?
I did cry on Joy's wedding day. I will admit that. It was a very special moment.
I did not cry.
It was. Oh, you did?
You didn't cry at her wedding?
I would cry at Joy's wedding or my wedding.
Chelsea, I will say I did not cry at your wedding. No.
Which is so weird because if I was to like peg you on who was a crier, I would think Chelsea for sure bawled her eyes out on her wedding day.
I would have said that too.
I did not bawl my eye. I am a crier, but I did not cry at my wedding, nor did I cry at the birth of my children. What does this say about me? I worked with really bad situations for a long time.
No, you have no soul. No, but that's like my whole point is like for a while I held that against him because I was like, you don't care. And I was very young. You know, when you're like newlywed or like newer in a relationship, you think everything's a big deal. Anyway, so I kind of go in and out of crying and being emotional. I also think that's because I am perimenopause age. So hormones are all over the place. However,
join the club.
Yeah.
Plus
wonderful. 2. Great. We're all in our fabulous and 40s. So we recently sold our house and I had to go through, like in the past month, if anyone's sold a house, we've been in this house for 16 years. So it's been not a huge deal. Like we haven't had to deal with anything related to selling a house or moving, but had to prepare the house, get it clean, get it ready to show. And the day we started showings, I was fine up until then. Like, I think it was because I was in go mode. And the second we started showings that morning, I was a wreck. I was anxious. I had butterflies. I couldn't eat. I was teary. I was crying. And that was just a really hard day for me. But you know what? I'm very scared of having emotions sometimes. Like, I don't like to cry. But fun fact for everyone out there, you do feel better after you.
Can I add another fun fact? That your emotions only last really about 90 seconds if you don't keep judging them or trying to suppress them or trying to make them something else. So if you just let it go, it's really like that.
It's so hard. This is a fun little therapy intervention, by the way. We're doing a fun therapy fact. Therapy fact by Chelsea.
Yeah, so fun fact. Feelings are meant to be felt. That's all they're there for. Feel them. They go rapidly through. But what we do is we shove them down really deep and we judge them and then we start thinking and thinking and thinking and then we end up crying for like 2 hours or 2 days. But really 90 seconds, that's what I would recommend.
90 seconds, that's actually because that's about the laugh cry. That's the whole example of Amy Poehler. And by the way, Amy Poehler, if you're listening, please come on and talk about laughing and crying because I would love to have you on the show. She is one of my heroes. I think Rebecca can agree. Chelsea, I'm sure you love Amy Poehler. Who doesn't love Amy Poehler? Anyway, she talks about she was in her book, she talks about a story where she was crying so hard because she had just lost a friend. And John Hamm was on set with her that day, came up to her and said, you know, I know you're really sad right now, but you really need to get your shit together. And she laughed so hard. And it's like, yes, the emotions are there, but they're really hard. And I think we're all afraid Chelsea. I love the 90-second thing, but I think we're all afraid. Well, let me speak for myself, that emotions are going to take you down and you're never going to get back up. I think that's what I feel like that's what a lot of people fear, especially being a therapist. People are like, no, I can't. You know what happens a lot of times? Sorry. And then we're going to go to you next, Chelsea. I'm going to pick on you for your next laugh cry. You know what happens a lot is the second people enter therapy and they start crying, because usually the first session, everyone cries because they've been locking up emotions. If they haven't been in therapy for a long time, or if they've never been in therapy, they come to the first session and they just start crying and they go, I'm so sorry. And I always say, never apologize for crying. Never apologize for any emotion. You've been kind of holding this in for a while, so this is totally normal. But it's so funny. People, not funny, but, like people always apologize for crying.
They do. And then I break out some humor for them. And I say, because they're apologizing, like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, hey, it's okay. I make everybody cry. So I just put all the onus on me.
I love that.
Rebecca, where have you been? I'm glad to be your friend, but I would be really stoked to be your client, right?
I know. It's
like, it would be because
you're such a great
the
therapist.
laughter is so cathartic too, right? So we make these jokes, but it's so healthy. It's so good. And I'll go ahead and confess that I cried in every therapy session for probably 2 years. There was never like a first. So when I had my practice, when I expanded, I made a meditation room where people could go out the front door and then they could come back up the stairs and they could go in this private area so they could decompress before having to go back into the world, because I thought it was so mean to have to like, oh, your 15 minutes is up now. Wipe your face really quick and go back to work.
Oh, that's so smart. That's so smart, because people are always like, okay, I have to plan therapy so that I don't have my makeup smearing when I go. Okay, so what's the last time you laughed or cried?
Okay, so I do laugh and cry a lot. Laughing is my favorite. That is true. And I do know that comes from Elf, but that actually, for me to say that, and who doesn't love the movie Elf? It is my favorite. And it often goes hand in hand. So this week, my husband had emailed me, and he got it before me, and I got up to get my coffee, and he's like, I emailed you, and we live together. Like, what do you email? And he's like, well, you need to read the email. And so I pull up the email, and it's, my husband's going through stage 4 cancer treatment, and it's this really aggressive regimen that he's going to be on of 3 different types of chemo. And it's like the hair loss and like all these. So he emailed me all these side effects, and I'm just like the pit of my stomach. I mean, we've been going through this for a really long time, but it's like, we're going into the most aggressive. We're really like fighting for life right now. And so, of course, I'm like trying to hold it together and not cry, because I'm just like, okay, we're going to do this, blah, 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 blah. And then I cry a little bit. And then I come out and I'm like, well, since you're going to lose all your hair, I will shave my head and do it with you. And he looked so horrified at the way that his wife would look with a shaved head. I'm like, what? I have a pretty face. I wouldn't be cute with a shaved head. And he's like, I just really don't think you should do that. And I'm like, it was like, I don't even know if this makes sense, like, but I was crying laughing because
it makes total sense.
He was like I thought I was being, like a writer. Like, I've got you. I'll shave. I'm in it too. And he was just like, please don't. And then I will say,
well, also you have very beautiful hair, Chelsea. I could see him being like, please don't take that away from me. I'm losing a lot. Don't take away my beautiful wife's hair.
Well, the therapist in me is like, it's the mirror, right? Like, is it the mirror that then like every time he looks at me, he sees me in his eye? Like, I don't know. We call this mirroring. That's what.
It's a great point.
Yeah, but I will confess that in order to take care of myself this week, I have been putting weighted anklets on to like physically ground myself, because I don't feel at ease. And so I'm like, what if I just had something heavy that like forced me to be present? Because with cancer, you really, with any illness, with any trauma, whatever, being present is the best place to be. It's the safest place to be. And so I'm like, I need to remember that. So today's actually my first day I don't have the ankle weights on since Monday.
Oh my gosh.
How do you feel without them today?
When I'm talking about them, I want to put them back on. Probably because I'm talking about this, and this is in the present moment, but it is like it was really grounding. It was like a physical redirect to like stay in your body. Because when we feel this way, we want to jump out of our body. It's like, I want to be anywhere that's not inhabiting what's going on inside of me, because that feels scary and sad and devastating, all those things. But yeah, I'm not going to get up and put them back on, but I might do it after the podcast.
I actually love this idea. This is, I mean, because I've used ankle weights before, just to, like the lightest weight really, you probably need like a pound or whatever. I think it's the lightest you could get.
I think they might be 2 pounds,
reminder. But it's a great way to feel like you're grounding yourself because that additional weight helps. I think grounding sometimes, I don't know, people are confused by it or not certain what to do. And sometimes you can't feel your feet on the ground. And this way, that helps.
It's like a physical reminder. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Real biofeedback.
Yes, biofeedback. And explain what that is, Rebecca, because I think people hear like grounding and people may not even, like when I say relax your body, people are like, I don't know what are you talking about? So maybe people don't understand grounding. And like Chelsea, you having that physical reminder of grounding for you. And I think people can come up with their own practice of what grounding looks like. But what is biofeedback?
I mean, I would say that the real simplistic version of it is it's your body providing you feedback from whatever you're doing, like whatever technique you're doing. It's just like that mind-body connection. So, there's all kinds of different ways you can do biofeedback. Sometimes, like people do pulse rates your pulse or oxygen saturation levels,
or looking at your pulse.
But really, anything that you're doing where your body is essentially you're recognizing your body is giving you a physical kind of notification that this is happening to you.
Yeah, I always tell clients when they're feeling anxious and they start to kind of panic, if they can, obviously, if you're like starting to really get to a panic level, this is not something you should do. But if you're at a level where you're starting to feel it, I always tell people like just check your pulse. If you have an Apple Watch or an iWatch, you can check your heart rate, you can check your oxygen, and that gives you feedback that you're okay. And most of the time you're like, I can't breathe, I'm not getting enough oxygen. Well, that's like a piece of feedback that you can then say, oh, I am okay. This is just all in my mind. And then you do some other tools. But yeah, I just love that, Chelsea, as far as the physical act of being like, this is reminding me, because we do that a lot in practice too, of like, if people are feeling overwhelmed, a great way to get back in their body is to look for a color, a sound, smell an essential oil, have some lotion, like do something that is physical. But that may not connect with everybody. And I think it's so creative that you did that.
Thank you. And I think of it like a tether, like when the body gets into that trauma mode and you are like light, like everything's tingling, you want to get out of your body. I think of it like a balloon and we got to tie it up to something. So coming back is that tether. Rebecca, I'm so excited to hear about what made you laugh and what made you cry this week.
Gosh, there's just been so much. I would say I'm going to start with crying, because I am one that I don't cry a lot, but when I do, it's like a lot. So it goes back to your point of like 90 seconds. If I would just let it happen, I'd probably have 90-second cries. This time it was probably about a 5-minute full-on bawl profusely, bent over this week. This happened. So, and it actually started from a physical injury. So I was at the gym. Somebody didn't re-rack the dumbbells correctly, and a 35-pound dumbbell smashed my finger. And of course, if you've ever smashed a finger, it royally hurts.
It's so painful.
You think you're dying.
It's kind of like when it's not as serious as hitting your funny bone, but it's just it's like something so small that feels so painful.
And can we just appreciate too that Rebecca is like an amazing lifter. So she's like, this is like a tough woman.
She does like high rocks competitions.
Yeah, she's like physically in incredible shape. And then the laughing part is that it's her middle finger. So when she's talking right now, y'all can't see this, but she keeps flipping us off, and it's huge. It's wrapped, so it's like a really big FU that
it's a really big
very
bird.
funny. Okay, sorry, Rebecca.
Which is also really great when I'm driving in Dallas traffic, right?
Heck
so
yeah.
everybody can see it.
Yeah, heck.
Put some lasers around it, like spotlight it. But
put like one of those pinwheels on it. Just
yes, I really want everybody to see this, okay? But it hurts so bad. You know, you smash your finger, it immediately swells up, and the blood gushes out because all of the nerves are right there in the tips of your finger. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, of course, that's not what I said. I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm going to die. This really hurts. So I immediately run to the bathroom, and blood is all over the sink. And I'm like, oh, I got to clean this up because I have some childhood trauma around making sure things are cleaned up and don't create scenes, right? So I really wanted to cry right there in the gym, but totally didn't. I peacefully went to the bathroom, blood out all over the sink, and put paper towels on it, and then drove myself home and came home, showed my wife, and she's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And I just cried profusely. Like, I was bent over the bathroom sink crying, one, because this really hurt, but I've just been through so much stress lately in like different parts of my life that I think I needed like the physical injury to just release it.
To like
And
get
it
the
was
ball
like a
rolling.
5-minute major sob. And I was grieving for my finger hurt, and I have a 30-mile bike ride to Saturday, and I'm like, how am I going to ride my bike, which I was really looking forward to. And then I'm grieving all this other losses and stress that I'm having in different parts of my life, and it just finally came out. But I think it's interesting how sometimes you need something physical to happen to you in order to release.
Because isn't that
I've
like
had that
the
happen before too.
permission like we got as kids? Like, suck it up if it's emotional. If it's physical, just let it happen for a little bit. But if you don't cry, then we go, you're so strong. Look at her. She didn't even cry. She didn't even shed one tear. She banged up, beat up, bloody. Like, way to go, kid. Like, that's the American way, y'all. The American way. Okay, but so now, Rebecca, we still have your laugh.
Yes, my laugh. I've debated on it, but I'm going to tie this into the story that I originally said. I had a story about like analyzing people.
I'm so glad you
'Cause
remembered that.
So excited.
I find it comical. Okay, so I went to this WNBA game last night. Dallas versus the Fever. So I got to see Caitlin Clark play in person.
So cool.
Amazing, amazing. First of all, it's crazy. There is the Caitlin Clark effect, and the place was sold out. There were Iowa jerseys, Caitlin Clark Fever jerseys everywhere. It totally outnumbered all the Dallas jerseys. The house was packed for her. Amazing. The Fever's just an amazing team as well. Like their players are great. Dallas, great team. They showed up and they schooled them last night, so they won. But I'm standing in line, and you know, every event center has a bag policy, and I like to read up on them because I have anxiety, and then I don't want to have to get to the gate and go take something back.
It's happened to me before, and I was like, and I somehow snuck through anyway.
Okay.
I was like, I'm not putting my bag back in my car.
I have a really good bag story about this and trauma, but go on, Rebecca.
Okay.
Okay,
Put
great.
Put a pin.
So I knew what the policy was. Plus, I'd been at the same event center last Saturday, so just like 3 days prior to it. And I heard this woman talking, you know, people are behind you. You can obviously hear their conversations. And she just kept talking for like a good solid 10 minutes. She'd be like, oh, I don't know about this bag. And do you think, should we go check with this person? And then they talk about something else and go back to the bag. And I'm like, this lady is having some serious anxiety about her bag size. And she kept talking about it. And I'm just like, do I say anything? Do I not? And I'm like, I'm going to just turn around and help her. So I just turned around. I looked at her bag and I'm like, your bag is fine. I was like, you're going to be totally okay. And yeah, you can have clear bags or this size. It's on the sign on the sidewalk. I was just here Saturday. You'll totally get through. And she's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. It was like a Lululemon little...
Yeah, like one of those fanny
fanny
packs
pack.
or like those little bags that will crush your chest.
It was
yeah, tiny. I have
super
one.
tiny.
Yeah.
This was like miniature. And I'm like, you're totally cool. You're going to be fine. I was like, I felt like I had to say something because I felt like you were having a lot of anxiety about it. And I'm like, I'm just going to turn around and help you not be anxious anymore. I actually said this to her. She's like, oh, thank you so much.
Therapist
I
in the wild.
appreciate it.
Therapist in the wild.
That's a therapist in the wild sighting for sure, right? There should be another tidbit we do.
Yeah, therapist in the wild. Like, where did you try to really help someone, but you just didn't say that you were a therapist?
Yeah, I didn't slip her my business card or anything. But it's like, oh, well, obviously you have some more anxiety. If you want a session, here's my card, call me. But yeah, she was very thankful. And then she's like, well, are you sure? I don't know if it's 4 inches by 6. And I'm like, it's totally 4 by 6. You're fine. And then my wife was like, yeah, they don't have like a tape measure up there. You're totally okay. So that's what I found pretty comical.
They don't have a tape measure. I love that, like, through that whole story of you calming this woman's anxiety and then your wife saying they don't have a tape measure is so great. Did she calm down?
Yeah, she chilled. We just like to really keep it real for people. Yeah. I'm like, let's not stress. There's enough going on here. And you're stressing me out behind me, and I'm here to relax.
Yeah. You're like,
so stop stressing.
I can't believe you waited that long.
Anxiety is transferable. Yeah.
It is contagious. And Rebecca, I can't believe you waited. I'm such a blabbermouth. I would have turned around and been like, oh, I can be helpful to you. I read the rules, and I would have been like, you're fine. You waited that whole time. That was so good. That was actually, I think, like really healthy.
I do wait a while because, one, I don't really like to talk to people.
I'm the same.
Out in public.
I'm the same. Chelsea, it just, like, when you said I would have hopped in right away, I'm like Rebecca. I'm not going to get involved in other people's business because I don't like to talk to people in public either. So it's a hard line. Like, at some point, sometimes I feel the pull where I'm like, something like going into double dutch where you're like, do I go in? Do I go in? When do I go in?
Oh my God, I'm in.
I think that was the move.
I am in.
That I had. I was double dutch moving her, like, but my back was like, I was like, oh no, stop. Like,
and I'm spinning the ropes. I'm like, everybody in, come on. Like, I'm inviting randos. I'm like, everyone's invited, more than merrier. You have a friend, bring that person.
Yes. I could totally see, even just from hanging out with you, you're just like, you're the person that like walks in the room and you're just like, hey, everybody. And if people need something, you're going to go get it. You're just like I'm kind of like the wallflower that's afraid to like ask for what I want.
Like, I really like
a glass of water?
People a lot. I really like people a lot. That's why I'm like, if I don't say anything about you, then you know the truth. Because I mostly like everybody. It's what I don't say. That's the trick.
I would also say, I really love people. Like, that's why I'm in this profession. Like, I love people's stories.
Yes.
But I think when I am like off the clock or like, as my wife says, closed for business, I have a different face on and I'm like, don't talk to me. Don't bother me. Like, yeah. Because I'm an introvert actually. So I have to like save my energy for myself then.
And when I'm out in public too, sometimes when you're talking about maybe getting involved in someone's anxiety or kind of trying to calm them down, it depends on what the situation is, obviously. But there's times when I'm like, I take anger out on situations sometimes. Like if I see someone being really annoying, I'm always like, why are they doing that? Like I get mad. I have this kind of like a trigger for unfairness. So if I see someone like cutting or someone just being really rude to a salesperson, I will try to, I don't intervene, but sometimes I'll kind of be like, give people a dirty look. And I'm like, that's probably not the best way to handle it. So I have like almost like two faces where like, yes, I'm in the helping profession, but I can kind of be a judgy pants and, I don't know, but it is for a good cause. It's like when there's unfairness in the world, I get really mad about it.
I think too, it's a personal boundary, right? So I'm pretty extroverted, but I also need a ton of alone time. And I have this thing that I do called the pivot. So when someone's like annoying, I went out last night to have champagne with my girlfriends. And if this bartender is listening to this, he's going to know I'm talking about him. And he was telling really bad jokes. And I do the pivot like, oh, that's good. And then I turn and like ignore. So yeah, annoying. And then if someone's being, I don't know, I think it's how they feel energetically to me. Because there are some people I will avoid like the plague. Like it's like an automatic pivot. But I also think we have to be really protective of our energy, right? Because as a clinician, you're really giving. If you're sitting with somebody in front of you, you are like 100% grounded, connected, using you're not multitasking, you're not doing anything. So after you've done that with people back to back, there's not a lot of emotional reserve left. And so I think that's why so many clinicians do identify as being introverted. And if they aren't, you still need tons of alone time to reconnect and come back, because it's like being you're open. So I like that you said closed for business. I like that, Rebecca. That was a good
Closed for business.
closed for business. Oh, I'm going to start even using that. I think
You
Rob.
gotta do the hand movement like it's a swipe over your face. Like
Yeah.
you swiped it.
Okay,
closed.
like this, done.
Yeah,
I just
totally.
nailed
karate chop in front of
that.
your face. It's a good boundary. So, as we're wrapping up our first episode, I think it's probably a good time to maybe give people who've never gone to therapy or don't even know what to expect if they like, why would I ever go to therapy? What would you say to people who are maybe therapy curious, or just maybe they have a judgment about therapy? Because we've been in this field for so long that we just know the ins and outs of it so well. What advice would you give to people? Maybe they're like scared. Maybe they're scared. Most people are scared to go to therapy because they don't want to feel their feelings. Call back to the beginning when we were talking about how hard it is to feel our feelings.
You know, I would first say that I think the therapist that you're going to meet for the very first time is feeling nervous too, because it's a first meeting. So everybody's nervous, and a therapist really wants to help you. So they're feeling nervous. They want to be liked. Everybody's a human. You that's coming to therapy wants to be liked. The therapist and you have a lot of similar feelings happening. And I also would say that, just say or do whatever makes you feel comfortable in that setting. Let the therapist lead the way for you. You don't have to come in with a plan. Like, you just come in as you are, and the therapist will share with you the path and help you through that process.
I would add on that people think they might be doing it wrong, or that their problems are too big, or their problems are too small. I've had clients be like, I don't even know if I'm worth coming to therapy because I'm sure other people struggle with more. And it's like, let's not comparative suffer. We don't need to do that. You're here because it's going to be helpful to you. So I would also say if people are maybe scared to try therapy, you don't have to go into a physical office. There's text-based therapy. There's telehealth, which is what we work in that field currently. And there's so many ways to engage in therapy that I think you can try and find something that is maybe dipping your toe into it by going to a telehealth platform or something of that nature. That's comfort of your own home, maybe not as threatening.
I think what both of you said is absolutely perfect. And the only thing I would add is don't be afraid to screen your therapist as well. Like, you do want somebody who is doing the work. So we are totally imperfect. We're learning alongside of you. The way that I practice therapy now is not the same that it was a decade ago. Everybody's learning and growing and evolving, and it's where you're at in your journey, and to just honor where you're at. When I think of therapy, I think of it, somebody who's doing a good therapist, somebody who's doing their own self-work. They're walking the walk too, and they're honoring that you're the expert in your life. Like, we don't know everything. We're a shortcut to be able to use our knowledge and expertise to help to loosen the stuck. And it's a relationship. And so it matters, it matters. The fit matters.
I would also add, since you're saying it's a relationship, because it is that relationships take time to build. The trust has to be built. And again, if you don't feel comfortable with the person you're seeing, there are other therapists you could go meet with, like you're saying, Chelsea, that you can switch, because this is your time, and it's important that you get what you need in it. That you don't, if you go to a first session and you don't feel it, you might give it a second session, but if it's somebody you're like, this is absolutely not a fit, or they said something that was offensive to you, I think most definitely please feel that you can switch your therapist at any point.
I'm going to add that it's uncomfortable almost always. Like, I'm a therapist. When I go to therapy, I'm terribly uncomfortable. It takes me a long time, and I've had several therapists, and some are quicker at building that rapport than others, but it's vulnerability can be absolutely terrifying, and vulnerability in relationships are what heal. And so that's taking place on both sides. We feel that too. We don't go in and I'm like, oh yeah, I've got it all together. In fact, my first therapist, I said, when I come in and you see me all together with like makeup and hair done, you need to call me out, because that means I am not functioning and I have put on armor. And that helped.
You said that to your therapist?
Yeah, because the first therapist I had
that's
just
great.
kept saying how high functioning I was and how great I was doing. And I'm like, I'm a real mess. Like, why can't you see I'm a real mess right here? And so the next
That's so
therapist I went through, I just told on myself because I'm like, I need help.
Yeah, that's a great point too, of people like telling the therapist to be like, hey, call me out when this happens, because we're not mind readers. And you know, they may be, if they go off track, it's okay to say, actually, I need you to do this, and kind of guide them.
Yeah, I think essentially you have to teach your therapist what you're needing.
What you're needing.
You have to verbalize that to them. Or if you can't verbalize it, write it down.
I would even say you
Pass them a note.
you get
Pass them a
to,
note.
right? You don't have to, you get to. You get to be in a relationship where this other person is there to help you, and you can tell them like, hey, what you said didn't work for me, or that putting weights on my ankles and walking around the house sounds lame, and I'm 100% like not doing your dumb grounding exercise. And I'm definitely not going to breathe for 90 seconds, right? Like you can tell your therapist that, and they will figure out another tool, intervention way to figure things out.
Yeah, if they're like, you need a journal, I'm going to say, I'm not a journaler. That's not going to happen. So what do you got? What else you got in your bag of tricks?
I would add too that I feel like you should interview your therapist and ask questions. I used to always do that as part of the LGBTQ plus community through different therapists I've had through life, that I would message them and say, hey, how do you feel about, do you work with, say, people that are gay? What are your thoughts about this? I think especially for, certain populations, it's really important, and actually for anybody, interview your therapist. You can read their bios. You can also read reviews, super important, but also send them an email or get on a phone call and just ask them these questions before you even settle on making an appointment.
Yeah, you're literally like giving them so much of your emotions and of yourself that it's totally appropriate to do that. So these are really good tips. Well, we're wrapping up. This is episode 1. This has been so fun for me, you guys.
So fun. I've had such a blast with you two today. This has been such a joy.
This has been the highlight of my week. We have been looking forward to this for a while. We keep texting like, should we record today? So, okay, listeners out there, we will post resources in the show notes, emergency resources. Of course, the disclaimer that I put at the beginning of the show that we are therapists, but we are not your therapist, and everything that we say during the show should not be taken as medical advice, but that to reach out to the resources that we post in the show notes if you need help. Please subscribe to this episode, or please subscribe to this show. It really helps others find it. If you want to help this show grow, it's a brand new show, and newer podcasts kind of take a while to really build up. So if you're interested in learning more, subscribe, share with a friend. We'd love it if you left a 5-star review. If you hated the show, we don't need to know about it. We bless you on your way. We are not everyone's cup of tea. But if you really loved it, just put a 5-star review and be like, I did something really good for the world today. I supported 3 therapists who are out there trying to do something positive in the world. We would love that. And then you can also email us questions. We would love to hear from you. And if you want to ask us advice, again, we wouldn't be acting as your therapist, but we're happy to kind of pass along some advice and maybe guidance as far as what you should do. You can email us at laughcryclub@gmail.com. And we check that email. We will read every email. We are also on Instagram at Laugh Cry Club. Please like and share and just spread the word. So on that note, anything else that I missed, friends? We've started a club.
I'm so honored to be in this club. Like, what a great club. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be in the club.
This is the best club, and I can't wait for more people to be in our club.
I know. We need more members.
And it's going to be amazing. We'll probably build a treehouse together.
I think a treehouse is in order. Yeah.
There's going to be like badges you can earn for certain things, and maybe we'll sell cookies at some point too. Like, I love clubs.
Yeah, when we do our first live show, we'll have badges. I also kind of think of a club, like like we could have like club music.
Okay, that's my thing. Can we get the double Dutch and the and then I'll wear a badge too. We'll do all clubs.
Okay, great.
All clubs covered.
All clubs welcome. All right, on that
And
note.
I'll say I love club sandwiches, by the way.
Noted. All right, that's our laugh. We're laughing. We're going to end on a laugh. Love to everybody. We'll see you next week.